So I was at a meetup the other night. I was at a presentation and there was a Web3 recruiter there, and he was explaining that when you're getting a traditional job, it's 90% your skills and what you've actually achieved in your past, and 10% your interest in that role and that particular company. But the Web3 space is very different, and it's 50% your skills and what you've done in the past and what's on your CV, and 50% interest in being involved in Web3, your knowledge in crypto and all of that kind of area. So it's much easier to move into Web3 if you have interest and passion in the field.
We have Paula with us today, and Paula is a world-class Web3 educator and advisor, and is making cryptocurrency and blockchain as simple as ABC. And Paula is also helping various organizations into this space to helping them with their digital transformation. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on and for that quick introduction. As you said, my name is Paula. I have a background as a CPA accountant, so being in cryptocurrency and blockchain doesn't mean I'm a drug dealer or anything else of the sort. So it doesn't. I transitioned then into education back in 2010, and between 2016 and 2020 I transformed then across into the Web3 and the blockchain space to then launch a Blockofcrypto.
Interesting. Thank you, Paula, for that. And we'll kick off from getting deeper into your journey from Web2 to Web3. So let's talk about your Web2 experience, and then we'll move on to discussing what got you introduced to Web3 and at what stage.
Yeah, indeed. I'll share my story a little bit further back, if that's okay. So as I said, I'm a CPA accountant, and I noticed as an accountant when I was hiring and that people were missing a lack of skill in the accountancy sector, and that was Microsoft Excel. So this was back in 2007, 2008. So I decided as a CPA to write a suite of tutorials and to present them to the accountancy bodies, the professional accountancy bodies in Ireland and the UK. And I first became the leading supplier in online CPD for Microsoft Excel in Ireland and the UK, and that's how I got into teaching and online learning. So these courses, when I wrote them first, we didn't really have e-learning. We had CD-ROMs, so you're going way back. And then in 2010, a company launched called Udemy. Now, the accountancy market in Ireland is only a certain size, and Udemy started to grow very quickly, and they were worldwide. So I began to put courses up on Udemy. I started blogging and writing blog posts all about my subject, which was Microsoft Excel, and I managed to grow my blog to a top 250,000 website in the world, and many of my courses became best-selling courses on the Udemy platform. So I quickly grew my reputation online and as an instructor online, and now I can say that I have over 300,000 students online that have taken my courses, and which is such a great achievement. So that's how it got me working online and into the content creator side. So I've done that for quite a long time. I actually continued to work in the Excel field right up until 2020. Producing blog posts, making new courses, all that sort of stuff. But from 2016 I found blockchain, and I started learning and absorbing and getting involved, and I then kind of made a pivot. So that's kind of my background in how I became a content creator and started to work online.
Right, that's interesting, Paula. So, as you mentioned that from the very beginning, the key focus was creating content in Excel. Then you've decided to transition into the future of tech space and creating. Did you start as a content creator into blockchain and cryptocurrency space, or how did that transition happen?
No, I no longer work in Excel. I totally finished up on that there about a year and a half ago to purely focus on Web3 and blockchain. There's a massive skills gap there as well, but we'll kind of get to that a little bit later on. What happened was why I kind of really transitioned, or how I found Web3, was I just, as a content creator, there's so many content creators online, okay, and it's not an easy market. Now, it might look easy because everything that's pushed to us, or everything that we see in our feed, will be of people that have 1 million subscribers and, you know, all this sort of stuff, but that's algorithm fed.
Yeah.
And it's not really the reality of the situation. I mean, I think there's only about 350,000 YouTube channels out there that have over 100,000 subscribers.
True.
So it's not really that huge, and it's not really the reality of the situation. I got hit hard with the reality of the situation. So as I said, my blog grew to a top 250,000 website in the world, which is quite substantial. But removing ads from my Google website, I had lots of blog posts that ranked #1. And as soon as you remove ads and disconnect from the Google ad scene, they de-rank you, which was pretty harsh. So I had that happen to me. Then, as a Udemy instructor, so I wasn't making a huge amount off my blog posts as such. They would bring traffic to my website to sell courses. So that didn't hit me too hard revenue-wise. It was a big disappointment to me, because I worked so hard to grow my blog so big, and that to all of a sudden be ranked was pretty disappointing. But even more serious was that where my revenue came from. And as I said, I was a best-selling Udemy instructor for some of my courses, and in 2016 they changed their policies overnight. So their policy was, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Udemy, but you buy courses on Udemy now for a tenner. They're always heavily discounted. They have it as a race to the bottom. Prior to that, very few courses were sold at heavy discount, and instructors got the higher proportion of the revenue that came from the courses. And when they changed their policies overnight, instructors all of a sudden got the lower proportion of the revenue, plus all sales were heavily discounted, so discounted down to a tenner, which meant on each course sale I was making as little as between $175 and $250 per course sale. Now, my courses could be 10 hours long, and getting $250 a student, my revenue dropped by 90% overnight.
Right. Oh, that was very sad. That was very disappointing. Goodness.
Well, we had the option to leave. We were given the option to leave. But at that stage, Udemy had grown to 10 million students. They had market monopoly. And as a small content creator, I didn't have the marketing budget to compete with them. Not a hope. So I had no option but to comply if I wanted course sales from them. I had absolutely no option but to comply. I've had other problems as well, like I ran a community on Google Plus. Google Plus was a platform ran by Google that allowed you to set up communities, and they decided to shut that down. Now, they did give us notice that they were shutting it down and told us, get your members to move. But getting members to move is not really that easy of a task.
Yeah.
So I lost my community on Google Plus because they pulled the plug on me overnight. I had a similar experience on Facebook. At the start on Facebook, when you set up a community or a group on Facebook, you actually had direct access, direct contact details to people that were in your group, their phone numbers and their email addresses. And then they changed the policy on that you don't have direct access or direct contact. So if it's not on your email list, you don't own them contacts. The platform owns them, and they can deplatform you at any stage. And I suppose you can call it censorship in a way, that all of a sudden you're censored. People are often shadow banned on Twitter. You see it very, very regularly, that the people that you're following on Twitter, you don't actually get to always see their posts. You get to see what the algorithm wants you to see.
True. Yeah,
so Udemy was a real big kind of kick in the face, and I kind of felt that they screwed me over. So I went searching for a new way of doing things. And at the time, Bitcoin was on this bull run back in 2016, and I kind of thought to myself, I wonder, is there a way I can sell my courses for Bitcoin? And I start searching up stuff like that, and I never actually found a way to sell my courses at the time for Bitcoin. But what I did find was this platform, this blockchain called Steem. And the Steem blockchain was a blockchain that held content. Now, most blockchains don't hold content, they hold transactions. But this blockchain actually held text content.
Right.
And you could blog on it.
Yeah.
And the way the new rewards were mined was that half of the rewards went to the miners that ran the nodes, and the other half of the rewards actually went to content creators. And it went to them in terms of likes and votes. So when somebody liked your content or voted on your content, that was worth money. So I says, oh, well, this could be an opportunity for me. So I start blogging there about Microsoft Excel because that was my subject of choice. But nobody on that blockchain was interested in Microsoft Excel, and I was blogging aimlessly for a couple of months before I kind of realised, right, well, these are blockchain people, they're tech people, they're, you know, this isn't their game.
Yeah,
so I pivoted my skills.
Or not.
Yeah. And it was like starting from scratch, trying to build a new community somewhere. And so, you know, I stood back and I took a look at what I was doing, and I was like, well, hold on. Instead of trying to teach people about my skills, about the skills, why don't I use my skills to actually analyze the blockchain data? So I was able to connect to the blockchain with Microsoft Excel, pull data, and write reports on it. And I was able to do reports on new users, I was able to do reports on earnings, and I also uncovered a few scams and stuff that was going on, and I was publishing data reports about the blockchain to the platform.
And where would you do that? Where would you publish? What platform would that be?
It was on steam.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So these posts became really, really popular, and I very quickly grew a following. After which, because the type of blockchain it is, it's delegated proof of stake, so you need people to back you to be a witness or a node runner. I set up a node and my community worked very well, and I was blogging there for 2 or 3 years, making quite a good living, much better than I was making off Udemy, much better than I was making off my own blog. And that's how I stumbled into Web3 and found Web3. But I also knew then that if the blockchain got taken down, if steam.com, not the blockchain, if the user interface got taken down, I still had a backup of all of my content. I still had all of the connections that I made through wallets. They were my connections. They could never take them off me.
Right.
And it didn't matter what happened to the front end, that I still had ownership of my stuff.
Yeah, of your connections. Beautiful. Incredible. Incredible. Wow. People have to listen to that. People have to listen to this interesting and exciting case of... Yeah. Okay, Paula, carry on. I'm loving it.
Well then, unfortunately, Steam.com, or Steem, the blockchain, got taken over in a hostile takeover by a guy called Justin Sun. So Justin Sun is the founder of Tron. He has all of the Tron Foundation and all of the blockchains that go along with that. And he bought a 51% stake in the network. And he was able to orchestrate a hostile takeover. And he voted out all the community witnesses, and he voted in all his own witnesses, which meant the platform was no longer decentralized. And that went against everything that I was after building myself up for, and totally went against everything, but all was not lost.
Did it really impact you, that takeover? Like I would like to know in what different ways.
Yeah, well, you see, the witnesses or the miners are all voted in by the community.
Okay,
and they get to, it's the witnesses and the miners that get to decide what happens to the blockchain, what new code is ran, what upgrades happen. So it was kind of owned by the community as such, and that's very much how Web3 is. It's more of a decentralized situation than one central person organising it.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we were back to Tron owning this, calling the shots, saying what was going to happen, and it just felt like Udemy all over again.
All right. Yes, that makes complete sense. True.
Yeah. So he could downvote posts that he didn't like. So if anybody was posting about him, so I had mentioned that votes meant rewards, but a downvote would take rewards off you. And he would remove rewards and all from people because he didn't like what they were saying, and censorship and all came back into play.
Okay.
So there was a community fork.
Alright.
So a fork in the blockchain space can mean a number of things. A fork can be an upgrade, or a fork can be a split in the chain. Okay, so this was a split in the chain. So the community decided to create a copy of the blockchain. Most blockchains are open source, they're easy to do this. And they decided to create a copy of the chain and call it Hive. Hive is now more successful than Steem. It's the only fork of a blockchain where the fork has become more successful than the original platform because the whole community moved. Nobody was happy with this takeover by Justin Sun, and the whole community moved. But at that stage, I had got a little bit disheartened. I still do blog a little bit on Hive, but I stopped running a witness node. And I just kind of branched out a little bit more on Web3 to see what else was out there. There has to be more than just this. So I start learning, and yeah, I was just 24/7 reading up about layer 1s, layer 2s, all the other different things that were going along with it. And then we hit the next bear market and things got really quiet, but it gave me a great opportunity to continue to just learn and absorb, and that's how I moved into Web3.
Interesting, and that always